Main opposition CPNML today obstructed the National Assembly, demanding the formation of a high-level committee to investigate the latest incident of gold smuggling that occurred on the night of 19th of July. The main opposition has been obstructing the lower house with the same demand as well. The continuous government apathy to dig deep into the case has meanwhile given way to speculations of the involvement of high-profile leaders as well. Good evening, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan, and let's begin with the top stories of the hour. December Prasad Shrestha recommended as new Chief Justice. Shrestha faces challenge of lifting the dignity of judiciary to swift justice delivery. Central Committee meeting of Mao Center flays the leadership, demand probe into leaders alleged of corruption, warn of party abolishment. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says over 20 million Sudanese are experiencing high levels of acute food insecurity. The number represents more than 42% of the total Sudanese population. And Germany crash out as South Korea snatch a 1-0 draw. Morocco stunned Colombia. Morocco and Colombo through to the quarterfinals of the FIFA Women's World Cup. The Constitutional Council has recommended Biswambar Prasad Shrestha for the post of the Chief Justice. The meeting of the Constitutional Council held in Singhadarbar earlier today recommended Justice Shrestha for the post of the Chief Justice. It may be recalled that Chief Justice Hari Krishna Karki is set to retire after 2 days based on age limit. Even as the recommendation for the post must be made a month prior to the vacancy, the meeting of the council had remained elusive amid lack of consensus among the political parties. The council has also begun process for recommendation of the Auditor General, Election Commissioner, National Natural Resources and Financial Commission, among other entities. Shrestha, who has been recommended for the post of CJ, began his career as an official of the Judicial Service. Shrestha was born in 20th of Assos of the Nepali year 2016 in Doti in far western Nepal. It has come to the light that political parties have been trying to reap benefit from the Constitutional Council that was formed to recommend the appointment of office bearers of the constitutional bodies. The first task of the new leadership of the Supreme Court is to implement the report prepared with the coordination of the justices that suggested to put an end to the irregularities. The report includes suggestions concerning appointment process of justices and management of cases. The new leadership must shoulder the responsibility of appointing 7 justices at the Supreme Court, 54 judges at High Court, along with 6 justices and 38 at District Court. The leadership must remain impartial and free from political pressure. The leadership will also be responsible to maintain favorable environment for justice delivery at the Supreme to District Courts. The leadership must manage workforce to reduce cases that are piling up at courts. The new leadership has the opportunity and challenges alike to make the judicial sector reliable and impartial. Experts in the judicial sector say that the leadership must be free from political interference and power share to meet the target of reforms in judiciary. Members during the Central Committee meeting of CPN Mao Center have criticized and raised questions on the modus operandi of the party leadership. They have said that the party had become weak due to the leadership. On the second day of the ongoing Central Committee meeting of CPN Mao Center in Academic Hall, leaders, while putting forth their opinions, said that the party's principle had been ignored, rendering the party weaker. They urged the leadership to accept the flaws and move forward. Leaders warned that if the leadership continued with its working style, the party was in danger of facing what they call collapse. Vice Chairperson of the party, Narayan Kaji Shrestha, said that all the corruption files would be probed and that actions would be taken against Maoist leaders as well if the involvement was established. He claimed that general public's trust can be gained once again by making government proceedings effective and transparent. Vice Chair Krishna Bahadur Mahara said that Mao Center had only one alternative, either complete breakdown or rebuilding. Leader Leknath Neupani said the party was going downhill and questioned the leadership whether the government proceedings are based on party's expertise or directives of the power center. On the first day of the Central Committee meeting yesterday, Party Chair Pushpakamal Dahal had presented his political report based on which the leaders pitched their views. 75 members have already expressed their views during the meeting so far. Chairman Dahal has made preparation to make public his report after hearing the views of all the members. Meanwhile, he has not included the issue of gold scandal in his report. The main opposition CPN-UML has obstructed the meeting of the National Assembly demanding impartial investigation of illegal gold scandal. The main opposition obstructed the meeting today as soon as it started, demanding the formation of a high-level investigation committee. Chairperson of the National Assembly, Ganesh Prasad Timilsana, meanwhile, has drawn government attention towards repeated obstruction at the Parliament. The meeting of the National Assembly has been rescheduled for 1 p.m. on Monday. The meeting of the House of Representatives have been postponed on several occasions due to obstruction by CPN-UML. Nepali Congress leader Shekhar Koirala has expressed doubt that the gold smuggling case would reach a conclusion, alleging of involvement of high-level authority in the scandal. Speaking during a program organized by Nepal Press Union, Congress leader Koirala said corruption scandals were being made public one after another. However, none of them had reached a conclusion. He raised questions regarding political gatherings when corruption scandal surfaces. Leader Koirala said that investigation on gold scandal by the Revenue Department without the involvement of police was questionable. In yet another context regarding the Congress leadership controversy, he claimed that he has not supported the party president in any wrong deeds. Koirala clarified that he would meet the party president when summoned and that this would not be taken in the form of what he said bias towards the General Secretary duo. The government and the agitating victims of the cooperatives have struck a 7-point agreement. The victims of cooperatives have also withdrawn the agitation, which had continued for just over 2 months' time. As per the agreement, Loan Security Fund will be established at the earliest in a bid to return the savings of the victims. Following the agreement, Minister for Land Management, Cooperatives and Poverty Alleviation, Ranjita Shrestha, addressed the picketing victims at the capital's Maitigar Mandala. Minister Shrestha also assured of including 3 of the victims in the Cooperatives Betterment Task Force. And we'll take a short break here. We'll be right back. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
And before we give you today's question, let's take a look at a response to yesterday's question. And yesterday we had asked you, why do you think the dispute between government and construction businesses have increased? 55% voted for option A, businesses slacking off. 28% voted for option B, government's failure to release payments. And 17% voted for option C, dispute is just a show. And here is today's question. And the question is, why are government officials reluctant to go to remote areas? Your options are option A, lack of accountability, option B, lack of facilities, and option C, no actions taken. The voting is on. Type NAWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time for international update. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has said that over 20 million Sudanese people, representing more than 42% of the national total population, are experiencing high levels of acute food insecurity. According to the latest Integrated Food Security Phase IPC projections, over 20.3 million people across Sudan are experiencing high levels of acute food insecurity between July and September this year, with 14 million facing a food crisis and 6.3 million in a more critical food emergency. The report attributes this alarming situation to the ongoing armed conflict in Sudan, coupled with the subsequent economic downturn and mass displacement. Particularly affected regions include the capital city Khartoum, as well as the western Darfur region and the southern state of South Kordofan. The report further emphasizes that the armed conflict has inflicted severe damage on essential infrastructure, including healthcare facilities, schools, power grids, communication networks, and water treatment systems. Additionally, the activities of armed groups involving theft and looting have exacerbated the scarcity of various commodities, including food, resulting in a persistent upward trajectory of food prices. Moreover, the conflict jeopardizes this year's agricultural planting and production, potentially worsening the local food crisis. And we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for another short break. And now time for sports update.
Sports news.
Nepal's national cricket team has returned home today from Sri Lanka after concluding their training as a preparation for the upcoming Asia Cup. The cricket team was in Sri Lanka for 15 days as part of high-performance training. The national team previously was in Sri Lanka, where they had featured in the ACC Emerging Cup. Following a disappointing performance in the championship, it was decided to make the team go through the high-performance training. During the camp, Nepal had played 4 practice matches against the local Sri Lankan team. Asia Cup begins from 30th August and is hosted by Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Nepal are in Group A alongside India and Pakistan. Nepal play the first match on the inaugural day against Pakistan in Multan. And those were our latest headlines. Up next is News in Nepali. Good night.